I just didn't like the Stephen King film that much. To be fair, this film is taken about in three different respects. In most respects of fear. What you fear is what Pennywise becomes. That is what it always is. So if you're afraid of, I don't know, a shark, a crow, arachnid spiders, snakes, even the basis of a monster horror films like vampire, werewolves, that is what your fear will become. It's not just limited to those animal creatures or monsters. If you're afraid of your next door neighbor, that is what it becomes. If you're just afraid of just being around, I don't know, a certain person, that is what your fear becomes. Fear is what drives this creature. It feeds on children nearly every single 27 years, and then goes back to hibernation for the rest of the time. It will feed on children's fear. That's why it scares so many kids. To be fair, this is a standby number Hollywood horror film. If you see it that way, you've seen it done before. If you've done it, you see it. So it wasn't all the great. As a King's novel adaptation, it does a little bit better. I'll give it that. It's at least 1,000 times better than miniatures, but that doesn't make it perfect. There have been hundreds and hundreds of adaptations by directors and Hollywood producers that have done each adaptation. Some good, and a whole lot of them stunk. Don't just say, "Oh yeah, but it's great." Alongside Stand By Me and Shawshank Redemption, which both of these two films are more character-driven arc than a horror. The horror aspect there isn't it, but it's also a good coming-of-age book and horror film. The book is more science fiction, psychological horror, fear film, but a book, because at the time that's what it is. Because it focused more on those aspects, the psychological part, because no one else sees it, only what it. Because if you see it, you know it bleeds. So he has some part of visibility, but it only works for those who can't see it. So that's the part. As for the actors, I get props to some actors. I'm not the biggest child actor fan unless they know what they're doing. Some of these guys do fit like the characters. Some of them are good, but they kind of have the Shyamalan ass voice. I hear multiple because it works for the most part, but some of them just feel flat, as if they have no enthusiasm in their characters. Some of them just feel like, whatever, I'm done, I don't have that much line, and I'll go focus on the next project going on. So, that. Director, I still think Andrew Machete was a bad choice. Well, clearly he has improved vastly over of the stereotypical mama film. This one is better, but that's not saying much because he only has one other feature-direct film, and he will later also do the Shadow Colossus film. So until then, if he's still focused on doing the Shadow Colossus film, he needs more experience. This one is slightly better because A, the sense of direction of the film did take the approach on more of these child actors and how they, of the sense of loss of childhood. So is that. I will admire that. I will say the good sense of cinematography and the production value through this film was on a good sense of level. It is great to see these locations finally getting a true adaptation than just a generic typical town. Well, it is typical town set mostly in the 1980s than when this film should be back in the 1940s. But that's a good thing. Again, we see different areas, different time location where this film was set. But most of the part that I did say this was just a good riot was Bill Skarsgård. He's not taking home many Oscars at all. He won't be taking it because even though I did find his performance enjoyable, it's also been a little bit cliche on how he just pops out at you out of fucking nowhere. Oh, look at that! The projection's going spinning really, really fast. There he is. And then he pops right out of you. Yay. But I think one of the best moments where he shined was when he killed Georgie. We all know Georgie dies. That is when he shined the most because it was creepy as hell. You knew it was there, but to me, it wasn't that creepy. Now, is this film scary? Three possibility ways I'll think it's scary. To me, nothing scares me that much out of fear. I don't have that much of a phobia at all. I might hate a little bit of spiders, but that's it. So I wasn't that initially scared of the film. So other people were saying, "Oh man, it's scary," because of what you fear is what it becomes. So if you hate all that stuff in the film, oh yeah, you will say it's scary. If you have a mild sense, you might say it's a little bit of a mixture of both saying yes and no. Some of it is scary, or some of it's not scary. So that's also the big point thing about this film. So that's depending on your fear. If you take this as a Stephen King novel, which you should take this as a Stephen King novel, if you're a King fan, you love the book of it, you're going to praise the fuck out of this film. You're going to love it. You're going to love it to death. If you're just looking for a good horror experience, if you like the occasional horror film, you might say, oh, good one, or was great. If you are into the massive amount of crowds of horror films, you might say this might be your weakest film or a good one you could recommend to people. To me, it's mediocre. I didn't like it that much. While the film does strive in both a little bit more of the improved directing from Muschietti, a good sense of camera, production value, some of the characters being good, the good performance of Pennywise, but unfortunately, I feel like what's driving this film down much more is that A, it didn't scare me that much often. Some of the scenarios are just cliches. While there is good suspense and tension to the film, it is ruined by the cliche and generic jump scares throughout this film. They're so predictable to see to come. It is just not all that great. Another thing that drives it down that I should mention for the number 5 reason is that Nicholas Hamilton was a dick. Yeah, he was a dick. Even we had the trailers, before the leaked script, I should say vaguely the leaked script of Cary Fukunaga, is that he was a dick about it. He was a dick about of a one simple criticism of the promotional photo for Pennywise by T.J. Tucker or the Amazing Atheist. He ran about saying, hey, you have no absolutely nothing. This film is going to be great. Horror fan of Stephen King's or not a fan of Stephen King or just horror fans, I'm going to say how great of a movie he is. So being a big dick about it instead of just saying, no, just wait and see, my friend. We could convince you otherwise. But that's something on the side note that I'm going to present. But the true 5th reason why I think this isn't scary is through all the hype factor that went into this thing. It's good to have hype factor for any type of film, but I really got to say this. I wasn't feeling the hype at all. I wasn't getting all that excited for it. I was a little bit excited at the beginning because, oh yeah, we're going to new It movie. Here we go. But that's it. All the promotional trailers were good enough to get people to get into the film. The hype factor was crazy. People are starting to defend this film, saying the people who dissed on it or say like, hey, I just have a mixed feeling about it. It wasn't all that scary to me. Just going to say, well, you don't understand. It still has a 89% rating on Rotten Tomato, when Get Out has a simple 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So screw you guys. Everyone has their own different opinions about horror film, and this is one film that I'm going to say this year is really going to divide up every single fan out there from the horror genre, and even Stephen King's fan. Some will like the film, others will not. Others will find and say, it was a good run. Or the 4th option is this. It's just a better adaptation that you'll get. A good tie to the 4th option is this. Well, this is a better adapt. It's the closest adapt that you'll get to seeing a good adapt, since it's a good Stephen King adapt since a while. Since the better adapts for his horror films were kind of like Misery, Cary, and a few other good horror films. Heck, there are even a lot of even look at his list of his books that he has. Almost every single one of them has been nominated, has been given an adapt, from The Mist to Pet Sematary to a bunch of other films. Heck, I think I even heard that Insomnia might get one very shortly. Well, that's a rumor that I've been hearing. So my final thoughts is this. Well, I think it's a good run, again, like I mentioned before. I just didn't like the film. It's not my type of... It was my type of film to go see, but I just didn't like it. I hated it. I just have this mixed hate feeling about the film. There are parts of the film that thought, okay, this is good. Just focus on this aspect of your good coming-age horror film. But you failed to get it. And I think that's what most people are fans of this film are forgetting. Everyone's having a different opinions, and that's okay. This film will make its money for sure, but just remember, does faithful always mean successful? I pose that question to you. Answer that comment section below.